while loops in IGCSE Computer Science. They are preconditional loops, meaning that they check for the condition before entering the loop. So the syntax for the while loop is while, and then we check for the condition. If the condition is true, we go to the do, and the compiler runs the statements. If the condition is false, the compiler ignores the entire block of code. And as always, we end the statement with an end while to show the compiler that this would be the end of the loop. And make sure you do not forget the do. If you forget it, you're going to lose marks. For example, when we talked about the for loops, using the for loops, you know how many times we're going to iterate through the loop. However, in while loops, we have no idea how many times we're going to repeat the statement. We're going to repeat it until the condition is not true. However, if the condition was false to begin with, we're going to ignore the statement entirely. The compiler would just skip this part and move on with the rest of the program. The following is an example of how we can use while loops. Right here in this program, we're going to input a variable named score. If this score variable, whatever the user inputs here, is less than 0, or if it's greater than 100, that means that the data is invalid. It's correct, it's going to be stored in the variable, but the data must be between 0 and 100. So it's true, but invalid. That's why one of the most popular uses of the while loop is validation, to check that the data is valid. So if the score is less than 0 or greater than 100, we're going to output a prompt to the user to input again. And then we're going to input the same variable again. We're going to repeat this entire statement or block of code until the user inputs a value of score which is between 0 and 100. If they do, we're going to end while and move on with our program. Therefore, the number of loops is still not decided. The user could enter a correct number from the beginning, or they could never enter a correct number. In this example, we're going to create a new variable named num, and we're going to set the value of num to 1. And then we're going to enter a while loop. This while loop would stay active as long as this num variable equals 1. And there's nothing that changes the value of this variable inside our program. Therefore, num will always stay 1, and this loop would always stay active. And this is called an infinite loop. An infinite while loop is where the condition would always be true. And no matter how many times we're going through this statement, the condition would stay true forever. And eventually the compiler would crash out. And that's all for while loops. If you need any help in IGCSE Computer Science or Mathematics, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My contact info is in the description below. Thanks for watching.